So I was just talking about the 7 pillars of the Tony Elumelu Entrepreneurship Program, 12-week online training program, together with a mentor. So each entrepreneur is assigned a mentor. Last year we had 1 mentor to 2 entrepreneurs, and this year we are aiming to achieve 1 mentor per entrepreneur, and I know that we will achieve that given the level of response. So people around the world are hearing about this program and want to be a part of a program that is really transforming Africa and through investment and through skills development. The online resource library is a phenomenal resource. Even you should be accessing it, and you should be depositing knowledge on that platform. The other, over the last 2 years with the chairman, as he's traveled across Africa, we must have visited about 25 to 30 African countries. Obviously, we visited all the 19 African countries where UBA is present, but we've gone beyond that. Just in the last week or so, I know that the chairman has been to Egypt, he's been to Ethiopia, he's just come back from Mauritius, he was in Ghana. Each of those, and the foundation was in South Africa representing and speaking at the GEC conference. All of those travels are an opportunity now to meet our entrepreneurs on the ground. And so the continuous relationship with the 2015 and 2016, that relationship continues. And they are able to tell us how their businesses are growing, and also some new ideas that they may have that they want to share with around innovation around the program, but also around improvement ideas for the program. So those meetups have become an essential part of the pillars. You were all present, I hope, at the Entrepreneurship Forum. You've seen just in 2 years how it's growing from strength to strength. Looking at a lot of the content that I viewed over the last 6 weeks on the footage that we recorded, the quality of content, the quality of debate, the quality of engagement was phenomenal. And again, Mr. Elumelu has ambitions for that program, for the Entrepreneurship Forum, to be on the same level as WEF Davos and other, big international forum. Already this forum is the largest gathering of African entrepreneurs on the continent and in the world. Yeah? Nowhere else does a single organization bring 1,000 entrepreneurs from 54 African countries together in the way that the foundation does. Seed capital, 2 stages of it. We have already invested $10 million. Please do not underestimate the amount of money that has left this organization, this building. $10 million have been invested in 2,000 entrepreneurs who are using that first 5,000 seed capital to begin to develop their business concept. And finally, as they graduate, they become now part of the biggest entrepreneurship network. The elephant in the room is the isolated entrepreneur. This program has taken that isolation away for the entrepreneurs. So they are able to engage with each other peer-to-peer. They're able to build cross-border and cross-state, 37 states in Nigeria, business partnerships. They're able to find customers and clients for their products and services. It's a marketplace that is evolving organically, and it's the entrepreneurs that are making it work. So the program format works. We've done it for 2 years. First year we did it quietly. We made some mistakes, and we applied those to the 2016. So each year we are improving, and we welcome constantly from our selection committee members, from our advisory board, from our trustees, and now our newfound friends of Hares Holding group of companies. And we really welcome, creative and innovative ideas of how we can improve this program. The program works. We know we can scale. We know you can repeat this program. We know that we can, from sitting in Lagos, Nigeria, reach Pan-Africa and the world, and we've done that. 93,000. Last year we hit 96 countries across the world, yeah? We know that we can improve the gender representation. When we first started on this program, people kept asking me, so what about women? What about women? I said we were never going to make special compensation for women. They had to apply in the same manner. Our media and communication team have worked amazing. I mean, they worked wonders. And also our previous women entrepreneurs from 2015 and 2016, they have now become the role models for women across Africa. If I can do it, you can do it. Go apply. Go submit your application. And we've increased it to 39%. My COO has said we should hit 40 this year. We're just 1% off the mark. We're almost there. The other thing people talk about, leaders across Africa talk about is the diversification, the diversifying Africa's economies. Well, our entrepreneurs are doing that. Our entrepreneurs are represented across 30 plus sectors. And the other one that they ask me is, can Africa feed itself? The answer is unequivocally yes, because 30% of our entrepreneurs, they're young, see agriculture as cool and sexy. They don't, they recognize it's not apps that are going to plow the land, but they can see the phenomenal opportunities in the agri space, and they're occupying that space. And it's fantastic that they're doing it now. So the big organization, the AUs, the AFDBs, et cetera, who've made it their agenda to feed Africa, right? It's the entrepreneurs that we are, through our program, bringing together who are going to do that. I think the final thing is that, the foundation has really amassed a phenomenal data, and we're mining that data. Everywhere I go, people are talking about data and how can we use data to develop policies, to develop advocacy, to develop insights and trends, yeah? We have a data on the African entrepreneurial space to die for, and we've already begun to use that. I've mentioned that we've invested $10 million direct seed capital. You also need to know that we've also invested near $3 to $5 million in building this infrastructure. Yeah, the infrastructure that sustains this program, that includes the staff, the technology, the entrepreneurship forum that we sponsor. We've also gone on to look at how do we maintain our relationship with the entrepreneurs, that engagement with those who have graduated from the program. They are part of a cycle. We do not want to lose our connection with them. We have an alumni engagement manager, and they are developing a whole load of very innovative ways of maintaining that engagement and bringing value-added services to the entrepreneurs that we are nurturing, both the past, present, and the future, through country chapters, through meetups, through ongoing mentoring, and through obviously guides to funding and other resources that entrepreneurs need to continue. We've also become the organization that both multilateral donor agencies, NGOs, governments, other incubators, etc., and investors in particular, those who are either sector-specific investors or those who are sector-agnostic investors, who are looking for an investable opportunity. And what we're doing over a year of training our entrepreneurs is become investable propositions. So we've become really a partner of choice, and the long list of partners of people that we meet when we went to Davos, and we meet as we travel around the world and across Africa, offering their services and wanting to be a part of this program. We've signed a number of MOUs, and I'll just highlight 2 or 3. Microsoft, the bigger software. Well, we all buy Microsoft software, and you know how much it costs. Well, Microsoft is giving our entrepreneurs 3 years of free software. So our entrepreneurs don't have to pay for their, the programs that they need in order to run their computers for the next 10 years. And that is, its value is $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. An Indian, a business company called Indorama. One of the things that Mr. Lumulu continues to now, stress on us is that 1,000 out of 92,000. What of the other 92,000? So what we've started to do is to look for potential partners who can sponsor additional entrepreneurs. So we will take care of the 1,000. We will take care of their training and mentoring and the online resources, etc. What we're looking for the business to do is to sponsor their seed capital. So $5,000 plus follow-up with another $5,000. Hares holding companies are already contributing to this program. We want other companies and when we were in Davos, we met with the chairman and founder of Indorama, a Nigerian-based company. I think they're in agriculture and in plastics. And he's agreed to fund 10 additional entrepreneurs for the next 10 years. So that's, to the tune of 50,000 a year, yeah? With entrepreneurs. So we'll be able to select right now at this minute, 1,010 entrepreneurs. But we know that we will continue over the next 2 months to add more, to add more to the 10. An MOU with ECOWAS, and we're looking at doing it with also its equivalent of the East-based organization, and Nigeria's Ministry of Information and Culture, to really help develop a framework, which is basically a framework for the Nigeria's creative industry, which is one of the biggest revenue earners for this country, and yet a lot of its money is lost in piracy. And we want to leverage, a lot of the experiences of other countries, particularly South Africa, the UK, etc., who've managed to, retain the capital from the creative industries within their countries. I mentioned data analysis. We've already produced a number of research and advocacy reports. And that is really what that is doing, is arming our entrepreneurs. We produced 2, one on agriculture, and the other one was really much more a general report, to really firstly arm our entrepreneurs with evidence-based research that they can take, to their policymakers, to their government, to say, these are some of the impediments that we face as entrepreneurs, and here are some of the solutions that we propose that you as policymakers can actually implement, yeah? So it's the small things, like the ease of setting up a business. You heard that it takes 6 hours to set up a business in Rwanda. It can take 6 months to set up the same business in another country. And there are many tax concessions. We don't want our $5,000 to be simply going into paying the taxman. We'd like the taxman to say, you know what, no, you can have concessions because you're building your business, yeah? So those reports, all of these reports are available online and you can download. We've had hundreds of thousands of downloads of the agriculture report and our general report. I was speaking at representing the foundation at the Wall Street Journal conference on investing in Africa on the 7th of March, and the main session that I was speaking on was betting on farms. And it was really fantastic to be able to share our statistics. So the brilliant thing about the foundation is when it speaks based on information. It speaks based on facts, yeah? It's not evangelizing the idea of entrepreneurship. It is implementing it's implementing the program, and it's implementing and it's seeing the results of that implementation and the impact of that. So it's very easy to blow people's mind away because they cannot argue with the statistics that we are presenting. I'd like to call on, we've also in the last couple of weeks asked the question was, so, our 2 goals are to create 1 million jobs over the next 10 years and to contribute $10 billion to the African economy through the 10,000 entrepreneurs. And through and Owen and the team did a very sampling of about 600 entrepreneurs to ask them the question, so how are you doing in terms of job creation, revenue generation, and how do you rate the impact of this program, yeah? And finally, what are the kinds of your ongoing support needs? I'd like Owen to just take us through that, because she can't just sit here and not do anything.
Good afternoon, everyone. So just very quickly to run through. So the question was asked, recall that with our entrepreneurs, you have those who just have an idea, you have some they were in various stages of the business, but your business has to be less than 3 years old. So we checked in with them and said, okay, hey, what's been the impact of this program? Remember that the program, Paminda went through the 7 pillars of the program. They get mentorship, they get learning, they get network, they get the money, but all of those come together to say, okay, what is the impact? And we're happy to report that the feedback came out very, very positive, with 94% of people responding that were sampled coming back to say that they've had very high impact. What the program has had very high impact on their businesses. So looking at it, say, okay, fine, yes, we hear you, but how? What do you mean by it's had high impact? So these are the figures that we have. As at when we commenced, so the total revenue for those who are already generating something, as at the time of their startup, they had total revenue of $411,000. So at the time we checked this, which was the last time we checked was 2 weeks ago, we recorded $1.2 million. And it should please be noted that this is about 600 people out of 2,000, right? We have one entrepreneur, for example, who already has been interviewed by a top organization, and he had come up to say that his verified revenue was already $1.2 million, and he had not, I guess he was traveling or something, he had not responded to this survey, but this is where we are. In terms of job creation, as of today, we've got 4,157 staff from these 600 companies. So just to put it a little bit, let me be a bit more dramatic. So for revenue, we've recorded over 300% growth in their businesses, and for staffing, 260% in terms of job creation. There's something that, even in this revenue, there's something that is not captured here, as well as staff. The indirect, the indirect labor, indirect revenue, because it's not the entire value chain that has been taken into consideration, because they would have some outsourced staff, they have vendors that they work with, manufacturers. When you bring it in, this figure is much more commendable, let's put it that way. Just to say a little bit about monitoring and evaluation, it's something that is very, very important. We had a few selection committee members write to ask about it, right? And we're doing it now on a more ongoing basis. And we're happy to report that as part of our technology, we've now deployed an internal, so it's proprietary to us, monitor and evaluation tool. And this is just a screen grab of what they can see. Later, if anyone is interested, we can send around the link of the Tony Elumelu Foundation Hub, the Entrepreneurship Hub. It's very, not to sound immodest, but it's pretty amazing. The hub, we've got your application, your mentor learning platform, the training. So it's almost like a Facebook as well, where you have everything. You get training, you get social, you get information, you can market your product, and it's very, very user friendly. So this is just one part of it. It's a very lovely program. Of course, our entrepreneurs, we ask them, what else? What are the additional things that you feel would help you go even further? So these are the top three. It said tax concession, market opportunity relating to how they can still take more of their services to market, and of course, and not surprisingly, additional funding is in there. And if you look at the things that we stand for as a foundation, right, we talk about policy and advocacy, right? So Chairman talked about going to Mauritius, and he took the entrepreneurs in the country to meet the president. And I know from other meetups that he has had, when he takes them, these are things that come up. And we go to the decision makers to say, how can you create an enabling environment for entrepreneurship to thrive? Market opportunity, this one is just about creating networks and assets. And we have the partnership team who also work with us. Okay, how do we keep on matching people who have needs with our entrepreneurs who also have needs, creating that market for them? And funding, again, all links back in there. I mean, Paminda, she mentioned a few of our partnerships that we've signed on. So creating, again, that avenue for investors. We want to, so we're like the vehicle, the funnel via which you reach out to African entrepreneurs. Now, of course, these are the major, but they had other things as well that they have come up to say, that they would like to have further mentoring. And I know a few even from our mentors have said, how can we do more? They want to have further mentoring, they want to have an opportunity to have further learning, and of course media exposure, because it's very important. And just to conclude, remember when we started this whole program, it's about, so Heirs Holdings, improving lives, transforming the continent. Same thing with TEF. And from the entrepreneur side, the beneficiaries of our program, this was when we asked them about the program, that what do they think? That is it the right course for socio-economic transformation of Africa? It was a resounding yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Chair, if I may just conclude by saying that already our 2,000 entrepreneurs are leveraging their TEF, the Tony Elumelu Foundation Entrepreneurship Program, Kite Mark. as a result of that, and this is what we will now begin to measure. Wherever I travel, and whenever I travel with the chairman or I travel on my own, I'm blown away by the stories I hear about how they've been able to, the training, the mentoring, and all the skills that they've developed. And as Nimi, you mentioned when even at the forum, they're now able to present themselves with such a sense of confidence, yeah? And they're able to pitch. It's the 3-minute, have you tried talking to the chairman longer than 3 minutes? And the attention span is like, how can I get this person's attention in 3 minutes? We were in GES in San Francisco. 15 of our entrepreneurs have been selected out of hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs worldwide to attend, all expenses paid. And that is because they were able to say that they're part of the Tony Elumelu Entrepreneurship Program. A number of people I see, I notice the American programs now have done a, TEF entrepreneurship program is a shortcut for them, because they know that the people who've gone through this program have been validated. Yeah? So automatically, a lot of though I discourage our entrepreneurs to go on to doing further programs, because they have to build businesses and they have to create jobs and they have to generate wealth. But it's, but a lot of them, I just happened to be in London and my friend invited me for dinner. And guess what? There was a Tony Elumelu entrepreneur at the dinner table. She was there meeting her mentor who lives in London, who's also, who's a friend of mine. And I was blown away, she was blown away. But she's just been accepted for the YALI program, all because she was part of the Tony Elumelu Entrepreneurship Program. So, and there are many, many, many more who are leveraging the fact that they were they've gone through this program, they've received the seed capital, they've shown how they've been able to invest it wisely. As Sam very, rightly said, there's a lot you can do with $5,000. There's even more you can do with $10,000. But you can do an even greater amount with a 2,000 network of like-minded entrepreneurs across Africa. So I would say that, in the last 3 years, because just you have to remember this program started in 2014. The development of it took 9 months. It was announced in 2015, and the first year and the second year. We're now into our third year. There were many people who told us, we'll never do it. It's too big, impossible, 3 languages, 54 African countries. But we are proving them wrong. And our entrepreneurs who qualified through the program are becoming our fantastic, phenomenal foot soldiers and ambassadors. And I invite certainly the UBA, and UBA has been a really incredible partner. Having UBA as our banking partner, or our partner, we're able to, in the first year we were simply leveraging their resources and facilities and know-how. In the second year, we've begun to try and encourage as many of the entrepreneurs to open bank accounts with UBA. So it's not just the accounting facility that they get, but they get the ongoing support, because I'd like to think UBA wants to keep them. They may be a startup today, but they will be a Mark Zuckerberg tomorrow. Yeah? And if UBA's investment in our SMEs, the Tony Elumelu Entrepreneurs SME, there will be returns. There will be phenomenal returns on that investment. So, thank you.
Thank you. So, we call on Ascension.
Because of the number of applications that we have to work on this year, we have 2 phases of review. At the first stage, we manage the first stage of review, and then as part of the process, handed over to someone else who needed to oversee the second stage of the review exercise. And Adeola Jeremiah was responsible for that, and she's also here today. So I'm going to walk you through the entire process. First, I will give you a brief overview of, I know Paminda has spoken a lot about this, the chairman has also spoken about this, but I'll be very brief to just take you through or walk you through that. And then I will try as much as possible to let you understand the process that is involved in being a Tony Elumelu entrepreneur, what it takes for someone to be selected as an entrepreneur. And then I will also walk you through the emerging trends as far as the submissions is concerned, and then the final selection, and even the trends in those final selections. And after that, you can ask questions, and then we'll try to wrap up. Thank you. This is what I just talked about, the outline of what I want to walk you through this afternoon. Now, in terms of what the program is all about, the focus is very clear. It's to raise 10,000 entrepreneurs or businesses, startups and new businesses all across Africa, all across the 54 countries of Africa. Through these 10,000 businesses, create a million jobs. And then while doing this, be able to generate $10 billion in revenue. And from what you've seen, the entrepreneurs are already giving the testimonies that their businesses, the revenue is increasing, jobs are already being created in triple folds, as well as the revenues is already increasing. And all of the framework and the key pillars that Paminda talked about, the 7 pillars she talked about, is what you can see on the screen. Now, in terms of our roles, similar to our roles in the past 2 years of supporting this entire selection process, we also worked with the team this year, collaborated with the team in 2017 cycle to review the applications sent in by entrepreneurs to see the ones that will make it through to the final selection of 1,000 entrepreneurs. So this year we received 93,000 plus applications, and after the initial selection and review by the Tony Lulu Foundation team, about over 10,000 was submitted to us. And then the process of weeding out and reviewing the 93,000 by the Tony Lulu team has to do with how complete is this application? Does this application align with our objectives? Does it create jobs? Is it going to generate revenue? Is it going to have significant impact on Africa and on the businesses? And then they also screen for, we've had this is the third session or the third cycle of this whole program. And you realize that it is very necessary, to also screen for repeat applications. Some people want to get, you just heard what when I highlighted that over 300, I think, of the people that they interview want more funds. And so the chances are that some people would want to come over and over again because they feel that is where this is the best place to be. So to eliminate some of those people who might come in, the Tony Lulu team first did the first level screening, and I think about 6+ people were. No matter how little, it affects the integrity and the rigor of the process. So those people were removed from the list, and we got a list of over 10,000 applications, which we reviewed and evaluated. And our framework, our approach for evaluating these people is trying to ascertain the quality of the ideas and the potential impact these ideas will make or have on the economy of of African economy, whether in Nigeria, in South Africa, or wherever. And then also, is this business viable? Because at the end of the day, you don't want to invest in a business that will not be viable. It is the commercial viability of a business that is the whole essence of running a business. Is this a commercially viable idea or a business? And then at the same time, we try to look at the investments Tony Lulu Foundation is making. It's not only just on the business idea or on the quality of that idea or the commercial viability of that business. It is also on the person. Because when you are investing in an organization, you're not just investing on the idea or on the commercial viability of that business, you're also investing in the person that will run this business. And so we want to know what these entrepreneurs have done before, what stands them out, what is so impressive about these entrepreneurs. So we look at the quality of the entrepreneurial input, how well we think they can run this business, and then we do a second level screening after everything. And when we found out, I think we got about 4 people again who also came as repeat applications, and this was a very rigorous process that was done over and over again. And we caught, and what we found out that some people, they skipped 1 year. Some people applied in 2015, they won in 2015. 2016, they didn't show because they believe these people will know my name, they will be familiar with my name. In 2017, I will show up, and they did show up, and we were also thinking like them that there are some people who may not have shown up last year. They probably will be showing up this year. They say if you want to catch a fraudster, try to enter his mind and think like him. And also we try to think like them. And also find out that not just people skipping years to reapply. We also find out that even some people know fully well that Excel, if you do double spacing, if you want to do a word-for-word search to be able to know if there are duplicate applications, maybe somebody, there's this belief that I want to win by all means, and so I applied more than once. And if I apply more than once, changing the business name, maybe it's 2 of us that runs this business. One person applied with his name, then on the second application, another person applied with the second name. It's the same business, but 2 people own this business, and so it's still the same thing. And we also were able to think through, and we also caught some of those people. Once we see anything similar, we quickly isolate and then analyze further. And also, beyond that, we also found out that some people provided, they tried to word-for-word searching, they do double spacing. So no matter what, if you use Excel to try and find matching words, you may not find them until you really delve in and screen as much as you can. And all those people we try to eliminate as part of the process. And beyond that, UB also did a global search for all the entrepreneurs. So these are all the inputs that went into the selection. And anybody who had issues, any findings, we brought those findings, we brought the input into the final selection. And the list you are having today, as much as possible, has gone through a lot of screening. So subsequently, after our selection, we have 1,100 applications. That is 1,000 top applications, including top 100 buffer lists. And our buffer list is meant for a lot of things. And that is what the selection committee will be looking at the strategic fit with the program, the geographical reach, the gender, looking at disadvantaged regions and groups, and then the final decision on who these top 1,000 applicants will be. And that is where we are going to. Now, in terms of the entire framework, this is what is just a repetition of what the Tony Melu Foundation, the framework for each cycle, the other cycle, what they need to go through. It's a rigorous process, and these are all the benefits that each entrepreneur stands to benefit. No wonder we have like 3,000 plus people who want to benefit from this, and no wonder as well, people also want to come back and be a part of the entire process. Now I go into the evaluation approach and methodology. Now this is just how we went through the process. Team mobilization, the evaluation stage 1 evaluation, as well as the screening of the repeat applications, and then the second stage evaluation process, and the submission and ranking. Initially, we were supposed to complete one cycle before the other. The numbers, we had to move this forward a little. Now, to ensure that this whole process is rigorous, credible, and transparent, we had to adopt a framework, and our framework comprises of 4 key considerations or factors that we leveraged in the entire selection process. And these are how we interpret and apply the evaluation criteria that we've agreed with the foundation. The second thing is how we select the evaluator selection and training, how we select the people that will be involved in this evaluation process, and how we train them on either data protection, individual data protection, because these are businesses. The individual IPs is one of the things we take, intellectual properties is one of the key things we take very highly in Accenture, and even data protection. How do you ensure that the people's identity and everything is protected, and even the business idea is protected? And then the third thing is the evaluation process, quality assurance. How do we ensure quality end-to-end in the entire evaluation process, and from one mode of the evaluation to the next? As we answer, for instance, from first stage to second stage, from the evaluator to whoever is responsible for managing that entire stage or process. And then finally, how do we embed into this entire process Accenture project management discipline in order to be able to execute, do rigorously, and also meet our timelines and schedule? Those are the 4 considerations that we leveraged in the entire evaluation process. All right. Now, we had agreed 5 key criteria with the foundation, and these are the criteria we agree with the foundation that are clear in ascertaining the commercial viability of a business, as well as how successful we believe this business will be able to run and will probably succeed over time. Now, first is the feasibility of that business. Is this business, is it commercially viable? And in looking at that, how unique is this idea? What problem is it solving? And is it creating jobs? Is it going to create wealth across and along the value chain? Then the second thing is, does this particular entrepreneur understand the market opportunity that this particular idea or business presents? Is it very clear? Is it very clear to us? Does this person even understand the product and service? Is it well detailed, described? And can we already start feeling what this person is doing and what kind of solution is taking to the marketplace? And then, does this person even understand? For instance, I mean, there was something that we had to laugh when somebody said, you know what, for this particular product or this particular product and service I'm ready to offer, Nigeria is just the starting point. In fact, the entire world is where this product will go to. Clearly, you begin to wonder that this person probably does not even understand the markets, and that begins to give you cause for concern, and then you want to drill down. So we want to be clear. Does this person understand the market? Does he understand the customer buyer values? Does he know what the customer wants? Does he know how to appeal to what the customer needs really are? And then, does this person understand the competitive and regulatory environment? Things that could impede, if it's an idea, the startup of the idea, all the things you need to put in place, all the regulatory requirements before you can start a business, because from all indication, this business will not start in the next 1 or 2 years or 6 months because of all these things that needs to be made. And then does this person even understand? Because at the end of the day, the most important thing in a business, it all boils down to the naira and kobo. That is what everything boils down to. Understand the market is fine. Know what the competitors are doing is fine. Understanding the product, describing the product very well, they are all fine. But does this, it boils down to the naira and kobo, which is the commercial viability of that particular enterprise. And that is where financial understanding comes in. Does this person even understand when it will break even? Because, for instance, you have the revenue and you have your break-even revenue, and you should be able to tell us clearly when you break even, have you made any investment in this business and all that? So if it's clear to us that you've not been able to do this, we'll assess you and give you what we think. Then, is this business scalable? Can we use technology to drive this business beyond the immediate environment? Are there regulatory hindrances that could impede the expansion and scalability of this particular product across geographies, across whether Nigeria or beyond Nigeria? Knowing fully well that is a Pan-African idea or a Pan-African program. And then the last thing, as I said before, is this entrepreneur passionate about this business? Because if you cannot invest in your business, don't expect me to invest in your own business. It means you don't believe in your idea. And I cannot invest in what you cannot invest in if you want to lead it. And then what we did then was to take these 5 criteria and further we simplified them into 29 yes or no questions in the first phase. So that the people that are assessing in the first phase, all they need to do is to ascertain whether this particular applicant or that application, because what we try to do is review an application for his own, for that application. Don't try to compare. So for this application, for its uniqueness, as you review that particular application, the key question is, there are 29 criteria that we've broken this to, highly simplified, that you just answer a yes or no, whether the person has met it. And an accumulation of all the yes gives the score for the first phase, before the person moves to the second phase. These are the 29 questions. So I try to move now, so we go to the main thing. So these are the 29 questions. It still boils down to the different points that each person is expected to score based on what we think, based on the interpretation of each of those criteria. And then, now these are the way the evaluators were selected. We trained them on business strategy. They had to do a case study to be able to know, can they appraise an investment? If they have an investment proposal before them, how will they themselves even appraise it? And then that will tell us whether they can do this or not. And then in terms of confidentiality, we have to let them understand client confidentiality. So first and foremost, every of us, even if every one of us will first have to disclose, we have to make a disclosure whether we know anybody that has applied to this program. When you make that disclosure, the next thing is you cannot review that particular application. We'll see to it that you don't get that application. That's the second thing. And if you yourself have even applied, that is another thing. that is another ballgame entirely. It means you cannot even do this. So we have to put those things into place to ensure the quality of the entire process and credibility of the process. And then once an application has been reviewed and all the yes have been added up, the next thing is, where does this person rank? How do we rate this person? And then we needed to define a scoring criteria based on banding. And so this is the banding. You know, some people will still score in a class, no matter how intelligent. Some people may still go below. So starting from 0 to 20 and then to 100, try to band people. And then when you want to have, so when we say an application is a very high application, what does that mean to us? And what does that mean to this entire selection process? What it means is that the application or the business idea is a game-changing one. It's going to fundamentally change the industry, or it's going to fundamentally change the way things are done. For example, somebody saying, you know what, in Côte d'Ivoire today, we have craftsmen. These craftsmen, they just sell their products on the roadside. People don't price their goods very well. They don't make enough gain or returns on their product because despite the quality of that product, just the sheer fact that they sell these things on the road, there are some people that don't want people to see them pricing or buying things. You know, at times you want to buy something in a cozy place, even though it may be more expensive there. So this person felt the best thing to do was, let me create an online platform where people buy from these people just from me. So I bring these guys who are selling this crap, irrespective of where the things are, and I bring it to the rich or the elite or whoever or the middle class who want to buy it. And so they are able to buy it. And so at the end of the day, they buy it at maybe not premium, but something just higher than they would have if they go to the roadside. And thus creating wealth, not only for the man, the craftsman, but also creating wealth in the process for themselves and changing the way these goods are exchanged. And giving access even to these craftsmen to more market, to a larger market, even within their own country. And also trying to wade up the competition, who are the importers. So clearly, that is changing the dynamics and even a game changer within that industry. And then the next thing is, does this particular application or business, is it well articulated? Is the revenue model, does it make sense? Is this person going to make money? And you can tell from the numbers this person has told you. I mean, from research to tell, oh, this particular business will make sense. The revenue model makes sense. This person, if I get 1,000 or 2,000 or 100 customers or clients, I will be able to make money from this. And if each person pays X amount, multiplied by the number of subscribers, and then I have X number of staff, I pay them this salary, I will break even in 1 year, in 2 years, in 3 years, then the revenue model makes sense, then it's a good idea, especially when it's a game-changing one. Then the next thing is the marketing model, because no matter how good, they say a good idea with a very bad marketing is going to be, you're not going to make money. No matter how good the idea is, if the marketing is bad, you're not going to make money. But even when the idea, maybe the product is bad and the marketing is excellent, you will make some sales. But also when the product is excellent and the marketing is excellent, then you will make great sales. So the clear fact is this, that as this person, the marketing model, is it clear? How will this person reach the target audience or the target market? Is it very clear to us that even this, if the people that you're targeting, the target audience are the generation, I think, baby boomers. Maybe they're even farther than the baby boomers. If they are your target audience or your target market, and you want to reach them using Twitter, and not a lot of them you'll be able to, which is very clear. Especially if you've also told us that it's towards the mass market. Within that baby boomers, it means you can't reach them. If your marketing infrastructure or the marketing plan doesn't clearly state how you reach them. But if you are going to talk to Generation Z and Generation ZZ, and you're telling me about social media, social network, reaching them, then it will be very clear that you are matching the generation, you have a clear understanding of your target market, and you are reaching them where they can be found. That's where they spend their time. They say the best thing to do in marketing is look at where your customers spend their time and reach them there. And the more you reach them in where they spend their time, the more you are able to sell your product to them clearly. And the next thing is clearly demonstrated leadership skills and experience of the applicant. Has this particular applicant demonstrated? Because you can give a business to somebody, if the person does not have leadership skills, that business may be run around. Not because the product does not sound good, not because the revenue model does not make sense, not because the marketing model does not make sense, not because it's a game-changing idea, but just a sheer fact that the person does not know how to manage people. That's why most organizations, they say people are our assets, and our ability to manage, retain, and keep people within our organization is what gives us it's what sustains that particular business over time. So once somebody can demonstrate these qualities I've just highlighted, then we say this is.
How do you tell this from the application?
Sir?
How do you tell this from the application?
How
do you tell this from the application?
From the application, we can tell, okay, for instance, somebody gives a story, I have done this before, I have done this. You can check, has this person done it? If somebody gives, I have done X, Y, Z, it's probably out there, you can check against the person's name to know, has this person really done this? And then, if somebody also tells you a story about themselves, this is what I have done. I have done this, that. In the context of that particular, because it's not just that one question he is answering. It is an entire question. Sorry, sir, let me just take you to. All right, let's look at all what we look at. This will help us really well to look at what we look at. We say, has this entrepreneur demonstrated ability to influence, lead, or motivate people in any capacity? Before he runs through all of this, it will take time, clearly. So has this entrepreneur demonstrated ability to manage resources? Is there anything that shows within what he has said that he can manage time, he can manage money? Because he doesn't know what you are using to assess him. When he tells his story, we can match it against this and tell whether he does that or not. Is that okay, sir?
Yes.
So the next thing is somebody will rank high if it's a game-changing. However, one of these three criteria is missing. The person, the model sounds well, but maybe one of them, maybe the model does not sound well, but the marketing model is great, the business leadership and experience is very clear to us. He will get a high. Then the next thing is somebody gets, if he doesn't get two of those, maybe he gets one of those, he gets just medium or something else. And then the low class, for instance, when you read an application and it's so incoherent, and not just that it is incoherent, the person has not painstakingly taken time to pass the idea, and you are finding it difficult to understand what this person wants to do. No matter what, even if you want to say maybe the person doesn't understand English, because we also reviewed French applications. So clearly, especially if this person is an English-speaking person and cannot clearly explain that, then you have a low rating. All right. Okay.
Good.
Okay. Then once we have assessed this person and we say, oh, this is the first level rating, is agreed first level rating. The next thing is, where do we have the cutoff to move to phase 2? So that I have stage 2 review. What we did this time around was that when we looked at the scores, right, we found that our cutoff point has to be after simulation. We did some simulations and found out that the best cutoff was to be, we got a cutoff of 72%. And when we did a cutoff of 72%, we then moved those people, about 1,508, to the second stage for review. It is out of that 1,508 that we selected the top 1,000 after the second stage review, 1,100. 1,100. Great. That we selected 1,100. And so that's, I can move forward. So, this is the project. I don't want to bother you with this. It's the project management discipline, daily checks, quality check every day for stage 1 to make sure that there's consistency in rating. Stage 2 as well, consistency in rating. And then comparing stage 2 to stage 1. Somebody scores high, for instance, in stage 1, and then low in stage 2. We highlight those, and we do a third stage review. So we highlighted those and did this because at that point it means either the stage 1 person, maybe the person that reviewed in stage 1 was really was very, I mean, you understand, probably very free and gave this person, or stage 2 was too strict. So a third person has to come and review. And then finally, I look at things, I look at everything as well, and then also try to understand and raise issues if there's need for any issue. It is only at that stage that we can say, yes, this person is true, to proceed. And then I give you the emerging outcomes. This is not necessary. This just tells us how we review the applications. Again, the stage 2, how we review each of them across the weeks we worked. The emerging facts are very clear. This year we received of the 10,000 plus applications that we received, 52 African countries were represented, and 57% were all Nigerians.
Which is good news. It's the biggest population.
Yeah, it's population driven, it's numbers, it's a game of numbers.
Most entrepreneurial.
And then? You said what?
It's not the number, it's the number.
Numbers. Then, the next, and you see, Africa is over 68%. Of the western region of West Africa is over 68%, largely driven. Nigeria, there is over 500. So largely driven. Nigeria is actually a region, as we've been telling ourselves. Maybe next year we say West Africa and Nigeria. Just as ADP does. We say Nigeria and West Africa. All right, then we have 68% largely driven by Nigeria. And following the distance is East Africa. I mean, you know, this is the hub. They know what entrepreneurship is really in East Africa. This is the hub of international development. Yeah. They're really into international development, so they understand when you say a program of this nature what the benefits are, and they're really into it. So they followed in this time. And then you see South Africa, where you think you could have more application not really coming out from South Africa. And then North Africa just rising. But I'm sure next year this will be different. But quite some very great applications from North Africa.
Just a question. So do we have more people applying from North Africa?
From
North Africa?
Yes,
this area, more people. Even ladies. In some countries, the winner, ladies, 100% ladies won. So fantastic for North Africa. All right. Then in terms of sectoral distribution, clearly agriculture taking the lion's share again, manufacture followed by manufacturing, fashion, and ICT. And then in terms of the stages of the 10,000 plus applications we reviewed, in terms of the maturity stage, the business development cycle, we found out that about 62% of the businesses are either in the idea stage or at the infancy stage, just trying to enter the business in the applications that we reviewed. So most of them are still ideas as well as infancy. But what is good to note though is that 1/5 are already in the market and they're already testing their product. So the time to market for these ones, for both those who are testing their product and time those who are in the infancy, maybe is quite shorter because these guys are already in the market. Time to market for this 33% is shorter. Now, in terms of male to female distribution, 33% of all the applications received were female applications. And some countries responded over 33%. Niger had more female than male. Countries that had more female than male. Niger, Lesotho had more female than male. And Namibia, more female than male. Those are the key highlights. Then the next slide. So as I said, this is just a trend, gender distribution over the 3 years. We started with 28%, and today we have 33% female applicants in the entire program. So we are still moving.
No,
and then,
no transgender.
well, I think in Africa, well, we must see, not that we know of.
Does the form allow
Maybe the form does not provide for that. Maybe the form has already taken care of that. All right. Now, in terms of countries, Seychelles was. We had someone from Seychelles last year, but this year no application, but replaced by Eritrea. And then, in terms of increase, just marginal increase in the number of countries as well as marginal increase in the gender distribution. However, for sectoral distribution, we found that agriculture just decreased a little from 28 of the total submission, 28.8 to 27.4. Just a little, while some other sectors like aviation also decreased. But then you have increment in construction, consulting, and some other sectors. Now, this is just the top 20 countries in terms of applications trend in the past 3 years. Yeah, some countries increased significantly. That's virtually doubled, 100% increase in some countries. Less than 100 in some other countries, and then some countries decrease less than 100, and then some other countries, no other country decrease by 100%. But in terms of increment, we had countries like Tanzania that increased significantly, virtually doubled. We had countries like Rwanda that doubled. We had countries like Botswana that doubled. We had Congo Democratic Republic that doubled. And then we had 3 new countries that displaced other 3 countries that were in the top 20 in 2016. And they are Malawi, Togo, Lesotho, and they displaced countries like Burkina Faso, Madagascar, and Mozambique, and Gabon. Yeah. So those are the countries they displaced. Now, in terms of percentage of high-ranking application, So we try to look at how many percentage of people that ranked high when we score them in the first stage versus over the total number of applications. When we did that, we found out that Eastern Africa virtually had the highest, 26%. South Africa had the least, 14%, and the other 16 to 26 to 25%. West Africa is about 21%. Southern Africa, very low, here, 14%. And then North Africa, higher, with 16%. Now, across the 5 ranking scales that we told you about, very high to very low, the proportion of male to female to male applicants was virtually 1 to 2. I mean, again, it's a game of numbers. We have more males, and the number of males virtually across 5 of them, in the very high, in the high, in the medium, in the low, and very low. The males were higher, proportion of males to females. Then this is Nigeria coming home. In terms of distribution across the geopolitical zones rather, of the 37 states in Nigeria, including the FCT. In terms of distribution, the North Central had this number, and bulk of the percentage is in the southwest of the applicant, and largely driven by Lagos. Lagos has 67% of that share, and 28% of the total numbers in Nigeria. And then the southwest is 42% of the total. Then I now take you to the final 1,000. The buffer is just it's the 1,000 I'm concentrating on. The buffer is just the rest. Now, as I said earlier, we had a cutoff of 72%. So we received 10,000 plus applications. And after applying everything we had, the assessment criteria in the first stage, the 29 assessment criteria, and a cutoff of 72%, we had 1,580 applications that moved to the second stage. And of these 1,500 applications, after the second stage review, we needed to have another cutoff point, and our cutoff point was from medium to high. And our cutoff was 61%. And for 61%, the number of people, of the countries represented, the geographical spread for that 61% was just 44 countries. And from those 44 countries, our 61% gave us 958 applicants or applications, meaning we needed to cover 42 applications. So that's where discretionary analysis comes in. Now we have 52 countries that apply. So meaning there are 8 countries that didn't make it to the second stage, maybe because of the marks. And likely, some of these marks were up to 60, some were 58. Likely, I think the list was 57. And that's even in the female, the list was 57. So the first thing we did was use the discretionary analysis to come up with the top scoring applications in each of those 8 countries. So we took that, and if you add that to this, that gives us 966, meaning we still have about 34 to go. And then we then looked at the top applications from countries underrepresented in this 958. Meaning, the truth is that in this 958, about 10 countries contributed over 70% or thereabout of this 958. So we needed to discount for the countries that were highly represented, and we discounted of the top 10 countries, and then we took the other countries who were not high, who were underrepresented. And when we did that analysis, we got 19 applications were added, and then that leaves us with about 15. So the next thing we did was to look at applications that scored, we had 61. So we then look at applications that scored 60% in these underrepresented countries. The countries that were not in the top 10 list. So we took the 15 And that number came up to 15 and we added it. So everything together gave us the top selected 1,000 applications. Our buffer list, we don't really care much about how it comes about. So we just take the nest into the buffer list after we've taken all of these people. The nest falls into the buffer list. And I think in the buffer list, we have quite a lot of good applications, not less than, with a score in the first three, not less than 57%.
That's a big question.
Yeah.
You know, when you were making up your discretionary list, did you also look at maybe sectors that were not represented?
Sectors are largely, we did an analysis of the sectors, but we didn't specifically go to sector in the discretionary because we know fully well that of this 44, most of the sectors have been represented. And so we didn't go into any sector that was underrepresented because we know clearly that all the sectors will not only be represented. There are some other key sectors that drives Africa businesses. And then we also didn't want to go and just pick a business for the sake of it, because in the analysis of that particular application, the sector context would have been taken into cognizance.
Or say, for instance, you have a score where you have like maybe 18 people with the same score, and you have to use another criteria.
Yeah, then we can then begin to go down. But I mean, if we have one space to go and you have 18 people, same score, and then you know you have to look for another criteria which could be underrepresented sector. Thank you. So in terms of distribution across the 52 countries, Nigeria contributed 51% to this 510 to this top 1,000 that you have. And West Africa, once more, 62% of the total, follow distant by East Africa, and then North Africa, and then South Africa. Then the highest, East Africa and then West Africa. Then in terms of female applicants, the number of female applicants in this top 1,000, we had about 32%, just a drop of 1% in total female representation. Almost like for them. But some countries have 100% female representation in this top 1,000. Algeria, that's what I talked about. Algeria, because I think they brought just 3 applications made it, and they were all female. Then you had Tunisia, just one, and then you had, I think the other countries, Lesotho, I think 2 female, Madagascar, all female, Comoros, all female, Senegal, more female, Cape Verde, more females. So those are the countries where the females are taking the lead. We are looking forward to someday where Nigeria will be able to say that the females take
Just like this.
That's looking forward. I'm sure we'll get there someday. All right. Now, in terms of sectoral distribution, again, agriculture leading the way, followed likely by ICT, because there are a lot of ICT ideas out there in East Africa, and even coming home to West Africa. We see a lot of ICT-driven initiatives and businesses to just change the dynamics around an industry and help facilitate growth and economic development. Then we are also manufacturing, also taking a lot of chunk. I mean, 9% of the entire applications in the top 100. Now, in terms of stage of business, we have significant 63% of applications that made it to the top 1,000, either already in the market testing their product, or they're about entering the market, which is very good. So time to market is not going to be too elevated. And then ideas, which is critically what you want to achieve. Business ideas or businesses that are still in the idea stage are about 18% at this stage, which is good. You also want to see that lower as you move forward, so that you can accelerate time to market as this is an acceleration program anyway. So in terms of West Africa has an average proportion of 61% across all the 20 sectors. So in terms of the number of applications in West Africa across all the sectors, 61% of most of the applications across all the sectors are from West Africa. At the same time, female to male proportion is higher than the average. We have 32% of the average, but in 20 of those sectors, the number of female to male proportion was high. Then North Africa had the greatest number of, just like we did to the number of applications received. When you look at the percentage of total applications, the total applications that made it to the final 1,000 versus the number that's called high per region, North Africa had the highest this time around. I think the number of high 19%, followed by Central Africa, I think 18%, and then East Africa 70% South Africa this time around, and then the least is West Africa. We understand, it's clear.
So, sorry, does that mean, so is the quality of applications per capita, is that what that's using?
Yeah, it's because the quality. By the time you take, it's not the number now, it's the quality of applications per capita. When you take it, how many of them really scored high, irrespective of the numbers that were submitted. So, in North Africa, fantastic applications from North Africa, I can tell you. Very fantastic applications. And even from the female as well. There was one that I remember very well. She was very clear on what she wanted to do. She was going to provide a social network for young youth in Middle East and North Africa. And then she was going to provide an education hub, an opportunity lab, and then a business. I think the next one was a business hub or lab. So first and foremost, a learning hub first. So first and foremost, irrespective of the languages, whether Arabic or English, you want to learn anything, you have access. When you have access to that network, you have access to those learning tools and everything you want to learn. And then the opportunity hub creates opportunity for you to meet, to network, meet with other people. And then if you want grants for your businesses, if you want loan, whatever you want, you get it in that opportunity hub. And then the next one, I think, is once you have, even if you want to do internship, anybody that wants to do internship, just log on, it brings those who need interns and those who want internship space together. And then the last one, I think, is business ideas and mentoring. If you now have a business, you want to move that business to the next level, and you need mentors, you are able to get it just through that meeting. And then as you assess the way these applications were articulated, and even you almost like living the application, you can feel it. I mean, such applications, they score very high. All right. So this just tells us, when you now look at all of the applications that were reviewed, the applications that were ranked medium, we said medium, high, the applications that were ranked medium constitute more than 60%, meaning most of the applications were ranked medium across the majority of the sectors. And then, however, we have some very high-ranking applications in oil and gas, in energy, and in waste management. Fantastic ideas once more. Coming from oil and gas, I think one of the very top ones was in Nigeria, where the applicant was talking about, it's already a running business, so it's a business that wants to expand, so it wants to grow, so it's already established, it wants to expand and move to the next level. Talking about this mobile LPG supply, they want to enhance the supply chain process. It's like they just come to your kitchen, they come to your house, they have e-gas mobile, they have e-gas mobile, e-gas online, and then e-gas advance. The advance is, you tell them in 2 weeks my gas will be exhausted. You also monitor a lot of things online as well. And then you say my gas will be exhausted in 2-3 weeks or in a month's time. And then you're supposed to pay X amount when they are going to come and refill for you. And so what they do is to give you a discount over that period because you subscribed early to them and they give you that discount. And once it's exhausted, I think it's a former UBA staff official. That's why I specifically said this. So he's a former UBA staff, and he said he was involved in the entire process when STB he was involved in it, he was training, he was one of those who trained people in the northern part of Nigeria. And I read the story and I was thrilled. And if possible, wanted to know this person. This is a good idea. So in terms of, I think there's still one question. I think for media and entertainment, what it means is that there's room for growth, there's room for improvement, there's room for them to come.
They don't even see themselves as entrepreneurs. They don't. They're this artist world.
So maybe that's really the message that
they'll
needs
never
to
get
go
in
out
here.
there.
And it's a huge.
I know Afrique is trying to do something now. Maybe that will also be an opportunity to also talk to them and probably discuss certain things with them. They should start seeing themselves as entrepreneurs. They are trying to, I think, set up a film school in Lagos. And so the film school should be able to use, I think they are collaborating with La Fenice of France. So that should be able to provide that avenue for them not only to see themselves as entertainers, but as entrepreneurs. I think if they see themselves like that, they definitely would apply. And that's really, so there are several people in Nigeria that have several ideas, but maybe how to just present their ideas is just a challenge. But then the question is, if you have an idea and you believe in your idea, you will go to mass to propagate the idea.
Sure.
So whatever you need to do, you can do to make sure that the idea is true. That's just
Okay.
all right, Martin.
Martin.
Yes, thanks again, and well done. I think you've done a fantastic job. Just a few points, and not necessarily well for the evaluation as well as we move forward with it. I think there's some very key statistics that are coming out that I think we can take forward into the program itself.
Okay.
I think we are really finding this is almost like a gem of data that's coming out. So, for example, the distribution of, in terms of the stage of the ideas, the stage of the businesses, I think is quite relevant, and I think we can take that forward as we think about how the actual 3-month program is designed. So we can shift some content to physically speak to where those stages actually are.
Very important.
Because otherwise,
the
way to enrich the mentoring process that will actually be one way of enriching that mentoring process. And then this question of financial understanding, which mercifully we've had it at 10% for a long time now. So there has to be some intervention there. It's important that the school system, I think, might be one of the might be an issue there, where we don't really many of the courses that we have don't really hammer on these numeric skills. But that's an important point, and we should it's a differentiator in itself. So the longer we keep it at 10, we're almost reducing or limiting its potential impact as a differentiator, even though the rationale for doing so is relevant. So my point really is that we need to take a look at that again towards the next time and find a way to ensure that we simplify or we make it clear to the applicants that this really is a big deal. It's important. So for the level of understanding of financials is critical to any business, and we want to give that a higher rating going forward. In my view. Anyway, those are the 2 key points.
Okay, thanks. And I think one other point one other thing we are going to say is the fact that I'm sure we've looked at the 12 virtual training, and it's like financial. I think the last time we raised it, that probably just the basic things they need to know about financials. I'm sure it's not really the financial training.
It is, absolutely. 12 program.
Because I think there was a time like
No. So it was very complicated in the 2015, and so the 1,000 that were selected were failing on that in terms of business plan assembly. So we then added additional financial information, working with United Capital, in fact. But financial literacy across the continent is a weak link, and we have to find ways of developing and growing that space.
In fact, as we think about the other 92,000, you know, that's one way that we could actually add value to them without them being part of the program. You know, just thinking about what the program can do for the rest of those who don't make it around this general weak link that we're finding is common across board.
So they have access to some of
the resources.
And then when next they are
applying,
they are virtually ready with their hand, and then they can take it.
But it's interesting, one of the things that Mr. Lumulu would like to do is to either an adapted version of the 12-week program or the complete 12-week program, and make that available to those who have not been selected. And I'd love to hear your views. Mine is you don't give away your family silver. But I'm happy after 2 years to be persuaded that, you know what, maybe we should do an adaptation. It's our proprietary content, yeah? And that's the content that these people are going to... And it's a very rigorous 12-week program. It's not... And you evaluate their business plan so you know how rigorous it is, yeah? It would be good to hear.
The selection committee members, I believe I speak for everyone when I say to Accenture, thank you for a good job, and we're impressed with the participation by Africans on this program. It shows that our people are interested in improving themselves, in empowering themselves so they can contribute to the development of the continent. Again, as I said at the onset, the key challenge is that a situation where you have 93,000 people applying and only 1,000 successful, what happens to the other 92,000? And by the way, it's not that they are successful. This is like the top best that we just choose. Everyone has a great idea what they want to do to become successful as entrepreneurs. So we keep calling on our government to improve the business environment so that this 1,000 and the 10,000 of them will succeed, and others in other entrepreneurship development network will succeed on the continent. 2, would like endowed Africans, successful Africans, to support, pick from this pool, brand them the way you like, and let's support them to succeed. So that collectively we'll all be working together to make Africa a great continent that is respected across the world, and one that is prioritizing its youth. A continent that prioritizes its youth will succeed, and Africa has to do so also to do well. So thank you very much, and to the CEOs of HH companies, we thank you all because your support is what is firing and empowering us at the foundation to do what we're doing. Thank you very much. And to the advisory board members of Tunebelu Foundation, you set the direction, and everyone here works hard to make that work. So we should thank you all for all the support that you continue to give. Thank you all, and we have cocktail.
Yes, we did.
To announce the 1,000 GT so that the release can go out in the day.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you very much.